and welcome to the Double Fall Podcast. One of your hosts, Will. I'm accompanied by my good friend, Coach Jeremy. And man, did we call it Jack Draper beats Alcaraz.
I mean, I was saying from day one, I said, I think Draper has a chance to win this title.
Yeah.
That was my number one pick here.
Dude, not Carlos's best day. We both thought it was pretty much a lock that he was going to be in this final. We thought the shaky leg was Holger getting there, but Holger absolutely dominant display over Medvedev, I thought. Gave a little bit shaky, giving back the break in set one, but I think we got to start with Draper and Alcaraz. I already thought the world of Jack, but that match I think solidifies our take that he is going to be competing for top 5 best players in this world on Carlos's best service. 2-time defending champion. We thought he was not beatable there, and man, Draper bought it. Even getting bageled in the second set, most guys, turtle shell down there and have no fight and be like, it's Carlos on the opposite side of the net. I have no chance. But man, Draper locked in for that third. He got the double break lead. A little shaky giving it back, but that was seriously some impressive tennis from Jack.
Yeah, he absolutely brought it. That first set, he was just playing normal, and Alcaraz, as I've articulated before, that he has the ability to come out in that first set and go for too much, like 2 or 3 shots in. But I hadn't really seen the rally tolerance just be non-existent throughout an entire set.
Yeah, you texted me why is Alcaraz's rally tolerance 3 or 4 shots? I was like, dude, seriously, I've never seen him miss this much.
The whole first set, and it was like, he's finding his gauge, right? And I'm a big proponent for that because, yeah, sure enough, that second set, he found it and was, the best in the world right now that we're seeing. And the third set, I don't think his level necessarily dipped too much. I just think throughout the match, Alcaraz had a lot of decisions that, he could have been a little more patient. And I hate saying that because I love, Alcaraz just, what he's built his career on and will continue to build it on is risk taking and just, having TMG for literally anyone. But
that's why he's such a good watch.
He's always so entertaining to watch, but just, the fact that he went down in that third set was, a little bit surprising to me, and it was based on a very slim margin, like the game usually is, but he,
Can we talk about that umpire call too, with the double bounce?
Well,
that definitely killed his momentum a little bit.
I've been trying my best to not say chair umpires should just be out of the sport entirely, and if there's a dispute, there's a double bounce dispute, the player can challenge and then they'll have a replay. Otherwise, we don't really need a chair umpire.
That's a good point. It's what are they really doing there besides getting the best seat in the house?
Yeah, that and keeping the crowd down.
True.
All right, guys, quiet, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Players are trying to focus. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you don't want to have people shouting out in the middle of serving and everything like that.
To tell people to quiet down, you have to make sure you have an MBA. Can't just hire anyone for that job.
Yeah, that was it killed Carlos' momentum a little bit. I'm not going to use that as an excuse why he lost.
It was the the sport is so rhythm based. Alcaraz was if there was no break in rhythm, Alcaraz was, in my opinion, gonna just cruise. He was just gonna win 6-2 in that third set.
Yeah, and then
Then
all
his rhythm got disrupted, and it's part of the uh, gamesmanship of the sport. Like Draper, no fault on his end. He was just
yeah.
given an opportunity to embellish, but he was actually right the entire time. He's like, "Look, I'm not gonna. I literally got to that ball, and you said it was double bounce."
Yeah, he
And
called her out
that's
right
when
away, and then when they showed the replay, I was like, "Oh my god, I wasn't even close!" Like, because
not even close.
like really not even close. I think the I forget his name, but I think he was just surprised he got there, and then Draper hit such a good shot, and then Draper deserved to win that point, and ball don't lie moment, like he did get awarded that point, but like you said, it's such a momentum game, and then all of a sudden Draper then is now up 15-30, even though he should have been, but then Carlos gives up the immediate break, and then that just changed everything, you know. And
It
then
really did,
and
unfortunately.
and then
And
I said before, like, it was Carlos having a bad day too. Like, I think we've seen him play better tennis on better days. Credit to
yeah,
Jack. Jack obviously made him not play his best. You can't just say it's all Carlos's fault. Jack played his part. He played incredible tennis. Super rock solid, sturdy, not making mistakes. I probably should have looked up the unforced error count, but I'm sure huge like disparity in that towards Carlos having more unforced errors than Jack. Jack did
yeah.
a
I mean,
phenomenal job not beating himself in this match, which was huge. But also, Carlos was up like 40-15, even down a break at like 4-2 in the third. And then Draper fought back and broke again in like a very long game and got the double break lead. And at that point in tennis, at this level, such tight margins, I was like, okay, 4-1 is never real. Like, Carlos can come back from one break down, but two breaks down, like Draper's that quality of player where he wasn't going to lose his serve twice. And that would have been like a serious mental collapse. And I loved what I heard from Jack in the post match interview, because he was like, yeah, that second set, like, I was tired. Carlos got everything. And he was like, I was nervous. Like, I'm closing out a match against Carlos Alcaraz. Like, that's not an easy task. But man,
yeah,
like, I thought if like Jack lost this close third set, I'm like, I was gonna praise him to be like, hey, learning experience, prove you're ready for these matches. But for him to overcome this and win this match, I think like he's ready right
yeah,
now. Like, he's gonna
yeah.
be
And
competing with these guys right now. And
yeah,
it's a very interesting match going into tomorrow, because I have no idea who to pick, to be
yeah. I
honest.
mean, I was gonna say there was a certain transition at that like 5-4 game that I went from like, oh, wanting Carlos to win because the whole match I wanted Carlos to win,
Yeah, me
but
too.
at a point I was like, can Draper close him out here? Because that would actually that seems like something I can get behind because he played such a fantastic match and Alcaraz brought it for the majority of it, like the second and third set. And Draper did rise to that occasion despite those few setbacks that I chip my shoulder with this loss. Like,
Yeah.
Alcaraz would have definitely won if not for XYZ interference. But
That's
at the end of
just
the
tennis,
day,
man.
this
Like, these
it's the
points are
result.
so
You got to roll with the
valuable.
punches, and Alcaraz would be the first to say, "Yeah, I didn't lose because of
Yeah.
the crowd screaming at 15 all when they thought my return was going long
Yeah,
in
that
that
too.
deciding game, or at the huge would it be 15-30 or 30-15, and it ended up being 15-30 for Draper with the double bounce call.
Yeah.
Like but I'm sure Alcaraz would say that's not the reason I lost or won this match.
And
And I
that's
agree
like,
with him.
yeah,
Draper really was playing insane, like just shots that would be normal, you know, shots for Alcaraz to dictate with. Draper was hitting the baseline at 90 miles an hour, like routinely. Like his level is crazy right now.
I agree.
So, segueing real quick, just getting this out there. I have had Draper in three
Against
over
Holger.
Rune. Yep. I think first set tiebreak or second set tiebreak, but Draper's gonna have barely. It's gonna be a battle, in my opinion, because
Yeah, I
both of
can't
these
wait to
guys have
watch
a lot to
tomorrow.
prove. And like you said in that last episode, there are guys who have their eyes on that, 4 seed, and maybe eventually taking Zverev's spot if he doesn't clean up his act.
Yeah,
Like
true. Didn't even think of that.
uh, Draper or Rune, top five players is not, unforeseen. And
And
yeah,
just,
let's go Draper.
yeah. And the thing is, like, there, just rankings wise, there is a lot on the line tomorrow. If Jack wins, he's all the way past Medvedev at the 7 seed. If Runa wins, he's up to like number 8 in the world or something crazy.
Wow. Yeah,
Purely,
the
not even just like,
Rublev, the Tsitsipas, the Casper Ruud,
and
the Tommy Paul, like so many players at that exact same juncture as these two that are in this final. So it makes a lot of sense. Like these massive 1000s, man, they're very important for
oh yeah,
rankings.
massive. And these are incredibly huge tournaments where the results weigh so much and change the entire dynamic going forward. I think we were praising Medvedev, praising Tsitsipas, praising Rublev for getting into form, but those were at not 1000s with not as much points on the line. Now, when these draws are competitive from the get go, like there's no easy round one at a 1000 anymore. Like your round one is like Talon Greek sport. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, you can't like have a couple warm up rounds, maybe sometimes at Grand Slams to get yourself into form. You got to be ready right away. I think Draper came in super in form. I think Holger found his form here at this tournament. Super. There's no like loser of this match because I think both these guys proved they're in the conversation. They're going to be
Mm-hmm.
top 8 players by the end of the year for sure. Um, it's just a matter of when, not
I
if.
think Holger's not for sure yet in my approximation. He's definitely a probable top eight. I think Draper is pretty much, in my opinion, for sure
Yeah,
gonna
I
be
agree
top
with
eight.
that.
Runa could still stay at that like 10, 12. But I don't know what he's looking like is he will, take someone's spot. Will it be Tommy Paul? Will it be Demonor? Will
Demonor.
it be
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's
Casper
so
Ruud.
contentious in that late, you know, late top 10, early you know, tweens. Like those guys are all duking it out.
Yeah.
So
It
we're just
makes
gonna
the
have to wait and
sport super
see.
exciting. It makes these tournaments so fun to watch because there is a lot on the line here. And just like every time, I remember, I forget who was the interview, maybe Roger, maybe Rafa, maybe Novak, but they were like talking about like every time we step on the court, we write history. Like
Mm.
this matters for fans like me who in 5 years like go back on YouTube and watch these matches. Like these matches are big stakes and can completely change your outlook on the year. I think Holger, what we've seen so far is his ceiling. I think his floor for how poorly he could play is probably a little lower than Draper. Draper is just like, from what I've seen so far this tournament, as long as his body holds up, he's like the epitome of consistency. We've praised his defense. He has the offensive game too with his serve. If he's hitting his first serve percentage, that's what gave Carlos so much problems in this match, because there was never really like there's so many there's few opportunities for him to break back and to get back in
Well,
the match, and that's props to
yeah.
how well Draper was playing. But he
And
also had that.
ultimately, let's be honest. Alcaraz's first serve percentage is probably like 25%.
Yeah,
Like
he played. This was not Carlos's
he
best day.
served terribly,
Yeah,
and he can usually. It really doesn't matter about how he serves. He can usually circumnavigate, but Draper was too good for him to do that. So
yes, and
that was the big difference for me overall in that match was, Draper was holding his serve better than Alcaraz, which sounds so basic, but like it's true. Like the amount of second serve looks that Draper would get were way more than Alcaraz got on his serve.
yeah, that definitely factors into the not the best day for Carlos.
Yeah.
But that's what makes this sport so much fun, so unpredictable. Obviously, when we talked in our previous episode, it's like if Carlos plays his best tennis, he wins because of XYZ. And we didn't
Right.
get Carlos's best tennis. And I hope, and it's a completely different matchup. Holger proved he had a great game plan against Medvedev. He had the patience in rallies and the consistency to counter what Daniil wanted to do, while mixing in the variety with the slice, with the drop shot to bring Medvedev forward, get him uncomfortable, break his rhythm from what he wants to do from the baseline. Completely different game plan against Draper. I get why Jack has to be a pretty big favorite coming in. I think if his body holds up, I don't know. I think mentally he's going to be okay. From everything he's
Mm-hmm.
saying in interviews, the way he's presenting himself on court, I think Draper is sound up here, but it's like the body and the physicals. And it's only 2 out of 3 sets. It's not like we're like a week and a half into slams. Maybe if it's 3 out of 5 sets, you might give Alcaraz the edge here the longer the match goes.
Mm-hmm.
But so maybe less of physical concerns about Draper. But I think Holger can mix it up with him. I think it's going to go 3 sets. I like the over, even though you should always take unders in finals. But
So you're
these
taking
guys,
Rune. Take Rune. Do it. You won't. You take Rune. I take Draper. Let's see. I'm not peer pressuring you. I'm just saying.
you are peer pressuring me, but
Yeah, I'm just
no,
saying. I am taking Draper. As much
and
as I
Farouk,
think Rune is looking fantastic, I think that beating Alcaraz here is a more impressive win than beating Medvedev here. And it's not that, the transitive property, as we talked about so many times, doesn't apply to tennis. It's a matchup versus matchup thing. I think that Draper matching up with Rune right now,
I
I
think it's
think that
50-50.
Draper's backhand is ultimately becoming one of the best shots in the game because he can turn it on that side of the court. It's like, all right, you see Draper as a lefty, like, oh, big and big forehand. You got to avoid that. So you go to the backhand. He can just rip a 95-mile-an-hour winner on
Yeah.
that wing, either down the line or cross court. And it's, yes, like all these guys can kind of do that, but like Draper does it 9 out of 10 times.
And I
Like
think
he can go for broke, and it's not like going for broke. Like it's a consistent shot for him,
we
and
joke
him.
about the leftiness, but it's a real thing, because
It
what you're
is.
saying is naturally as a men's player with your strength, your forehand's going to be your stronger side. But when you play majority righties, they go cross court on your forehand, and they're going to target your backhand more as a lefty. So Draper has those extra reps, the patterns of play where his backhand holds up. It's like Nadal. It's like obviously you're going to go for his backhand because you're trying to avoid his forehand so good, but that only makes his backhand better over time. It's like you're kind of fucked either way. But I
Yeah.
mean, just the innate
There's
things, but
no safe space with Draper right now.
yeah,
I mean, he's got all the intangibles as well. Like,
yeah, the
you don't
huge
really see
serve, the
him.
movement, everything. He's man.
Yeah,
I think we nailed it on the head with that top 5 prediction. He's right there too. If he wins this tournament, he's going to be right there. He's not too far behind Novak for that 5 spot. Fritz is just treading above water until those U.S. Open final points come off. Like, unless he proves he belongs at that
he
top
can
of the
do it.
draw, he
Yeah,
could. He
Fritz
could be
has.
better. I know he's been hurt,
He'll have a
but
lot of opportunities, but
yeah, I
I
think
see him getting overtaken. uh, Fritz might be number 7 or number 8 pretty soon. Like, make way for Draper, make way for Rune. Honestly, not
yeah,
just playing favoritism with this
recency
current
bias.
draw, but
Yeah,
like, you know, Tsitsipas. It's been a while since we've said like, oh, Tsitsipas actually might have some upward mobility, but he's
he's a
been he's been top 5, right?
his
Top
career high
6.
ranking is like 3 or 4. He's been in 2 Grand Slam finals, I believe, minimum. He was up 2 sets to 0 on Novak in the Roland Garros final before he lost. He got smoked when he played. He also made like an Australian Open Grand Slam final, lost to Novak.
Right? Yeah.
So if he plays his best tennis, he's going to be competing for that spot. He's now back in the top 10.
I see Rublev. I see Rublev and Medvedev coming up in like the tail end. Honestly, tail end of the top 10.
I
Like,
like what
they
I've been seeing out of Rublev
eight,
recently.
nine, 8, 9, 10, like that kind of area for Rublev, Medvedev
I see that for
right now.
Medvedev. I think Rublev's
Maybe Rublev, but I don't know. But he's gonna be above who? Like, it's too tough. It's too tough to predict.
we have so much
Maybe we'll
tennis
we'll have
this
to do
year to
a
look forward to. I can't wait, man. Like
yeah,
the
we'll have to
fact
do
that
a
there's so
solid
many.
like top 10 prediction. But I feel like that would be impossible to predict. Like, all right, who's gonna be 5? Who's gonna be 6? Who's gonna be 7? Who's gonna be 8?
Yeah,
Too many guys.
I might have to go back and watch like our preseason like ATP 1 through 8 predictions or what we thought for those players, like what they're gonna be.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it could be completely different from what we have now. Like we were not talking about Jack Draper to start this year, and now we're
it's
like,
true.
can Jack Draper win a Grand Slam? Like the answer is not no. Now it's like, yeah, I give me some Jack Draper at Wimbledon. Give me Shapo
Yeah,
versus him in the semifinals. And like Tsitsipas is now a threat again. Holger Rune has proven he belongs in the conversation. I think
crazy man.
as of tomorrow, though, I can speculate on what could happen all this year forever. As of tomorrow, though, I think I think if Jack's body holds up and he plays the tennis, if they both play the exact same level of what they displayed leading up to this tournament or leading up to this
Mm-hmm.
match, I think
Mm-hmm.
Draper wins. But given the circumstances tomorrow, I think Holger wins. I think that's not just me being contrarian and going against you. I think
Yeah,
this is a prime letdown spot after Draper's biggest win of his career. And Holger, he still has legs under him. He has all the options like Carlos has, but he's been playing so intelligently. And I think Holger, his backhand holds up well against the lefty. He has a great serve. He's been returning well. It was kind of a chess match against Medvedev. Tomorrow, if it becomes a physical battle, I think Jack probably holds up, but I think Holger, if he finds his best tennis, which I think we've been seeing all tournament, and what we always say is like, tomorrow, I think the match is on Holger's racket. Like I said
mm,
against Medvedev, I give more credit to Draper than I did against Medvedev in that regard. I think if
mm-hmm.
Draper plays his like it's who shows up tomorrow, you know. And I think it's a 50-50 match. I think it's a pick 'em. I get why Draper's a big favorite with all of the recent results, him beating Alcaraz. He's like minus 150, but I was a little
Mm.
shocked when this line came out that it wasn't a pick 'em because
Mm.
I think it's just who shows up tomorrow. And if it's who shows up tomorrow, I have to take Holger with the value because he's the underdog. And I think he has a
Yeah.
real shot to win. I think he has, even at 21 years old, he has probably more experience at this stage in 1000 finals than Draper. He won
Oh,
Paris against
absolutely.
he won
Absolutely.
Paris against Novak. He lost to
Hmm.
Rublev in the Madrid 1000 last year. He's not
Well,
of like
you know what? We
he's
haven't,
not new
you
to
know,
this stage.
you're saying, we need to see Runa show up, and is Runa going to show up or not show up? But we haven't seen Draper either
Not show up.
show up or not show up. Yeah, we haven't seen him not show up. All we've seen him from him is him showing up.
Yeah,
So it would
he's
be
like the
pretty
mode
much the
of
first.
consistency right now.
It would be the first time in since he was a lad, a wee lad, that Draper didn't absolutely show the fuck up for a match like this. So I hope that we see them both buckle up and strap in,
Oh,
and
we're in for
we
a
can do the
show.
same and enjoy that treat. Because, man, I don't know. Both these guys, like we said, they could be top 8 players by the end of the year, even before the end of the year,
I
and
think
pushing top 5. Both of them, they could replace some people in the top 5.
Yeah, and what makes this final so fascinating and so many question marks around like who's going to win, and like obviously don't go heavy on this. We don't see clear edges, but
Mm,
we just thought it was a given that Carlos was going to be here, and the fact that he's not there is like, oh, it's
definitely,
it's it's anyone's game, you know. Like
it was a shoo-in.
both these
I
guys were
blame,
underdogs in the semifinals. you
yeah,
know,
I blame Indian Wells for changing the surface to make it more so. And I was gonna say if Carlos won this tournament, I'd be like, oh, and this is gonna help him for Miami, that the surface is a little faster than it always has been.
yeah.
It's gonna be more similar, but no, it opened the door for someone to beat him.
And today
But
wasn't
that's
super
just fucked up.
windy. This was like the first time Carlos hasn't played as like the night match. It was like the first time
Hmm.
he's played during the day. But again, those are excuses. We don't make
Yeah,
excuses for losing. It is what it is now.
it's the same
Um,
same conditions for both players.
yeah, I'm in my
Hmm.
head still. I'm trying to rationalize why Carlos lost, but it's like that's tennis, man. It's who plays better. That's why we watch. And that's why we don't know. And these are
Hmm.
educated guesses. And my educated guess for tomorrow that it's going to be fucking awesome. Like
Yeah.
I cannot wait to watch. So much on the line. These guys both are super exciting prospects, current players in the top of the game, and tomorrow is going to be just such a fun time. And tennis fans win no matter what, and this is going to be great. Can't wait to watch it.
Hmm. Let's go, Jack.
Let's go, Holger. I guess we'll
Yeah.
be on opposite sides, and we'll convene to
See what
react after for
happens.
tomorrow.
Hey guys, keep acing, keep double faulting.
Keep double faulting out there, but don't
Hit a
actually.
winner, hit an error. Maybe you make another error. You just gotta make up for it with a winner.
Every
It's
time you
pretty
double
easy.
fault, think of us. That's all we want. And just remember, it's not too serious. Enjoy the moment.
Hell
have, a,
yeah.
have a good night.